Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I am Nathan Crane, co-host of Supplements Revealed and the host and producer of the Supplements Explained Masterclass. I'm really excited for all of you to be joining us here during this live Q&A. Many of you, hundreds of you, have submitted questions, and we really appreciate that. Appreciate your engagement. We appreciate your desired yearning for understanding this complicated and complex world of supplements. And we are here to serve and support you the best we can, not only through the Supplements Revealed documentary series and all of the resources that come with that, but through the Supplements Explained Masterclass that I have helped put together, which is coming up very soon and is something that you can participate in as part of your joining Supplements Revealed documentary series. So make sure you keep an eye out for that in your emails for the Supplements Explained Masterclass, because what I've done is brought in a few key experts and doctors to take a lot of the information and misinformation out there and consolidate it into some very clear, concise modules that will help break down a lot of the confusing information out there and give you step-by-step guidance and an approach to effectively choosing and utilizing supplements for your health. So keep an eye out for the Supplements Explained Masterclass. That is coming very soon. Some of you have already signed up for it, and we'll have more information in your email coming soon as well. So for all of you joining us live during this session right now, this is going to be a question and answer session. So I've gone through the many questions you've submitted, and many of them are very similar. So we're going to be answering a lot of the common ones that many of you have submitted, and we'll go through and answer as many of these as I possibly can. So my own health journey 17 years ago started with me wanting to take control of my health. I was very sickly. I was very weak. I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. And I was basically headed for an early death. And I decided to take control of my health and started learning and researching as much as I possibly could about health and nutrition and living a healthy, happy lifestyle. I mean, I know that's something we all want, right? I know that's why you're watching this series, why you're part of the Supplements Revealed documentary series, why you'll join us in the master classes, because you want to sift through the noise and understand the truth about what it means to be healthy and vital and live a long, vibrant, healthy, disease-free life. Supplements are certainly one piece of that pie. And that's what we're focused on now. But remember, it's only one piece of the pie. And I'll talk more about that. Often we forget that there are foundational support steps that we should be taking every single day to maximize our health. And supplements are just one piece of that pie. Sometimes we spend too much time thinking that supplements are the answer to everything. And I'll tell you right now, they are not the answer to everything. They are an answer to some things, and they're certainly supportive, but they can never replace the importance of a good diet, of exercise, of relaxation practices, of having fulfillment and happiness in your life, of cleaning up the toxins out of your environment, out of your water, out of your hair, not your hair. Well, yes, your hair also. We'll talk about that, the shampoo and the skincare and those things. Getting the toxins out of your environment, out of the air that you breathe in your home. Supplements can't replace those things, but they can certainly support and supplement your already healthy lifestyle and help you get to that next level. And so, a lot of you have submitted a lot of great questions around that, so we'll dive into that. I just want you to know during this time together, we are going to help cut through some of the misinformation out there, some of the confusing information, and give you some real practical solutions to help make supplements not only more effective in your life, but understand which supplements work and maybe which ones don't, which ones to look out for, which ones are actually more effective, which ones do you need, how do you know which ones you need? A lot of your questions have been around, how do I even know if they're effective, if they're real, if they're fake? So we're going to talk about that. How do I know, if this supplement has this contraindications or this supplement has this contraindications? All great questions. We're going to get into all of that. So, again, I appreciate you for joining us. I've dedicated well over a decade, going on 2 decades of my life now, to researching natural health research and to learning from well over 300 doctors around the world in natural health and integrative health. I primarily work with people who are dealing with chronic disease, and I work with a lot of cancer patients. And in fact, just a couple of hours ago, I was hosting a cancer coaching group session that I teach alongside my colleague, Dr. Dana Flavin, who is an MD and ND. And that particular module was all about the anti-cancer supplements, the supplements that have the most efficacy shown, or ingredients, I should say, have the most efficacy shown in anti-cancer effects. And so it's quite interesting timing that we just had that coaching session earlier today, and now we're having this supplements session together as well. It's certainly an important topic. So without further ado, thanks for being here. And I am just going to start diving into the questions you submitted, and we'll get through as many as we can. Sound good? All right, let's do it. So Monte is asking, how can I determine if a supplement is phony? This is part of a big category of questions, and it's a great question. How can I determine supplements? This is from Karen. How can I determine supplements online or in the store are fake? What are best companies to buy from? Would you please recommend specific supplements, brands, companies? So we'll talk about that separately. There's a whole bunch of questions that came through that were, how do I know if they're real? How do I know if they work? How do I know if they're fake? So this is a really good question. And this really comes down to 3 key things that I look for when I buy a supplement. The first one is GMP practices. So is it a supplement? Is it a company that's GMP certified? And GMP certified stands for Good Manufacturing Practices. It means that they are following the requirements of the FDA in their manufacturing to make sure that the supplements you're receiving are actually what they say they are. So that's the first thing I look for in a company, because pretty much nowadays anybody can start up a supplement, put whatever they want in it, throw a label on it, and start selling it out there. And a lot of these supplements out there today are filled with garbage and trash and fillers and stuff I would never put in my body or advise anybody to put in their bodies. And honestly, I don't know if what they say is in it is actually in it. And because there's so many out there, there's really no good way for anybody to regulate it. So what the GMP certification is, it's something the company has to pay for, to say, hey, we want to make sure that our customers know that we are following the good manufacturing practices as outlined by the FDA, which requires some pretty thorough regulation on it. So you'll see sometimes CGMP or you'll see GMP. So good manufacturing practices. That's really the first thing that I look for. The second thing I look for is the USP. And USP is basically it's a testing that happens to test the ingredients in the supplement. And what they test for is that ingredient actually what they say it is, right? So for example, if you have a supplement that says, it's got 500 milligrams of shiitake mushroom, well, you don't really know if they put 300 milligrams in there and the other 200 milligrams is some filler they have in the other ingredients, right? You don't really know. But what the USP label does, what you can check with the USP on that company, is to make sure that if they say there's 500 milligrams in there, that you are actually, it's a verified mark that actually shows that there's 500 milligrams in there. They actually test the ingredients, and it is a extra thing the company has to pay for. Often these extra labels, unfortunately, can make the products more expensive because they got to pay for all these certifications and all this testing, and it verifies the potency and the amounts. But the more companies willing to invest in these things, the more you know that company is going to be a high quality company you can purchase from, right? If I'm going to take the time and energy and money to invest in something that's going to require me more money, more time, more scrutiny from third-party verifications, like the USP verified mark on my label, like the GMP verified mark on my label, you know that I'm paying more money, more attention to that. But more importantly, you know that I am putting the intention into that because I care about quality. I care about potency. I care that the people know that I am putting these things into my supplement to make sure that people can get the best out of it. So those are two important things you can look for on a supplement manufacturer. And the third one I look for, it's not always a requirement for me, but it is something that I make sure 80% or more of my supplements are certified, is USDA organic. Now, the reason organic being that if that supplement is made from whole food ingredients, that I want to know that they are certified organic and they have the least amount of pesticides and herbicides and fungicides as possible. Even organic, sometimes for various reasons, can allow some synthetics into the plants. But testing that's been done in multiple cases. I remember watching this one story of this family where they tested their urine and their blood, and they were eating all conventional foods. They were sprayed normally. You just go to the grocery store and purchase whatever apples and tomatoes and everything, all conventional foods. And they tested the entire family's urine and blood, and they found dozens of chemicals, of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, let's call them toxic chemicals, endocrine disruptors, carcinogens, cancer-causing chemicals in their blood and urine. And then all they did was switch them to the same foods but organic. And literally every single one of those person reduced the amount of toxic chemicals in their blood and in their urine, which was specifically the herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, etc., by over 90%. So the difference, some people go, oh, organic's not worth it, it's too expensive, it doesn't really matter anyway. It really does matter, because when you're talking about your excessive, continuous exposure to these toxic chemicals in your blood, yeah, if I ate one conventional apple, or I took one food supplement once in a while, once a week, once a month, a couple times a year, that was filled with chemicals, my body's going to be able to detox most of that out, no problem. But if I'm taking that every single day, and this is what I see in the cancer patients that I work with, if I'm taking those toxic chemicals into my mouth, onto my skin, through my food, through the air I breathe every single day, what do you think happens? It accumulates, it bioaccumulates into tissues. It starts causing chronic inflammation in the body. It disrupts the hormonal system. That's why they're called endocrine disruptors. Some of these are known and probable carcinogens, meaning they're carcinogenic. They're deteriorating the DNA. And as that DNA breaks down and continues to get damaged, well, that cell becomes dysfunctional and becomes cancerous. And so that cancer cell starts to proliferate, and you keep putting in those toxins, you keep putting in those pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, other chemicals from air, food, water, and your body just can't keep up with it. It's like you already got a fire going on in your stomach and in your tissues, and you're just drinking gasoline every day, thinking that you're adding good things to your body, and really it's gasoline that's just keeping that fire going. And sure, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of that, maybe nothing happens. But what happens a year, 25, 30, when you're 60 years old, 65 years old, 70 years old? This is why cancer rates have skyrocketed. This is why neurodegenerative disease has skyrocketed. This is why even autoimmune disease has skyrocketed. This is why almost 1 in 2 people are being diagnosed with cancer today, when in fact in 1950, it was only 10% of people. And in 1905, it was only 0.05% of people, less than 1% of people with cancer. Now, children are being born with cancer like never before. It's the number one killer in children under the age of 12, besides accidents. And children never used to have cancer. Same thing with autoimmune disease. And autoimmune disease is being scientifically linked to leaky gut. And leaky gut is caused by these toxins, these harmful toxins in our food, water, air, not to mention stress. Stress is an emotional toxin that can damage our tissues and lead to continuing the chronic inflammatory process. So a big part of the understanding here is we have to reduce the inflammation in our bodies. We have to reduce the inflammation in our lives, in our environment. And we can do that through the right kinds of foods, and we can do that through the right kinds of supplements. But first, we got to make sure that we're not just putting more gasoline on the fire. So that's why I look for organic as much as possible, USP label certified as much as possible, CGMP certified as much as possible. Because these are things that are just helping you be more assured that you're putting less and less and less gasoline in the body, to the point that, we're never going to get in the society we live in today, we're never going to get away from all chemicals and all toxins. It doesn't matter how hard you try. You just can't. I mean, they've tested water in remote jungles in countries that aren't even anywhere near civilization, and have found pesticides and herbicides and fungicides. So we're not going to get 100% away from it, but if we can reduce and mitigate our exposure by 50%, 60%, 80%, 90%, we can extend our lifespan. We can prevent, and even in many cases that I've seen, reverse these diseases, these chronic inflammatory lifestyle metabolic diseases that are heart disease, diabetes, cancer, autoimmune disease, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. We can prevent these. We can live longer and healthier. And in many cases, we can even reverse these by following the right diet and lifestyle and nutrient approaches. And that's what I look at as a very holistic approach to life and health and healing. Because again, if we just focus on supplements, we're not going to get it. But there are things about supplements that I think 20% of our overall holistic approach to health and healing, that 20%, that's a big chunk. 80% is all the other things that I teach a lot of the cancer patients I work with. That 20% can take you to the next level. So I know a lot of you had questions about that, how to verify, how to know if these things are fake, are they working, are they pure, are they good quality? Those are the three things that I look for. And those are the things that I would recommend you look for when buying a supplement. Hopefully that was helpful. I know it was a little bit long-winded, but if you just get those three things out of this Q&A, it's going to help you cut through 80 or 90% of the junk supplements that are out there. Okay. So again, I didn't say they all have to be 100% organic, but most of the time I'm looking for organic if they're CGMP and USP, but sometimes you can't get organic because of different reasons. Maybe it's a synthesized or a extracted version of a particular molecule, for example, maybe beta-glucan, which can come from mushrooms, can come from certain forms of yeast, where they just extract that beta-glucan. Like, you can't really certify that organic in many cases, but if you look at the manufacturing practices and the labels and the quality and the integrity of the company, hey, you might have a really great supplement there to support you. All right, moving on. Why is citric acid in so many supplements? What's its source, and is its effects known? If ingesting a lot of it on a daily basis, thank you, et cetera, I haven't seen this addressed. So citric acid used to come from fruits like lemons, limes. It's a preservative. I mean, it's a natural preservative. So if you ever make a soup, for example, and you put lime in it and you put it in the fridge, that can last a long time in the fridge, because lime, lemon, just like salt, just like honey, these are natural preservatives. These are preservatives that nature has given us to preserve food for longer periods of time. It also has a lot of other benefits to it. But nowadays, recently, I read some research that said most citric acid is about 99% grown from mold. So actually take mold and they grow the citric acid on it, and then they use that in the supplements. Now, there's no real hard evidence that I could find that has shown that citric acid is going to cause major problems for you. And in fact, there are some interesting studies that show it may have some beneficial effects. Now, when it's in other ingredients, it just depends on the quantity that's in there. I personally, citric acid is very healthy for you when it's coming from lemon. Like if you take lemon and squeeze it in your water and drink it, unbelievably healthy for you, will help your digestion. Just like apple cider vinegar, these are a high acidity, but what they do is they actually provide more acidity to your stomach, which helps you digest food easier and makes your body more alkaline. So they actually have an alkalizing effect. So citric acid in its natural form is incredibly healthy for you. When it's synthesized in a lab from mold, to me, it's somewhat questionable. There's not really enough hard data on it to say, oh, it's toxic, it's bad for you, the way they're doing it now. And some data is actually showing there could be some healthful anti-inflammatory effects, for example, or antioxidant effects, I should say. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. That's what I would say. I wouldn't worry too much about it. If all your supplements are filled with citric acid, maybe you look at finding some supplements that don't have it. Not all my supplements have citric acid. I see it once in a while, so shouldn't be too much to worry about. Is flaxseed oil a good supplement to take? Some people say it's really good for you. Others say it's not. It does. See, this is from Lee. It does have estrogenic properties. It may either prevent cancer or help cancer. Okay, so flaxseed oil, if you look at the science on it, it does not have estrogenic properties. That's clear. So I don't know why you're saying it does or where you heard that from. Flax seeds are incredibly protective. They are a seed that's high in omega-3, very, very beneficial for your brain, for heart health, has shown to have supportive health for cancer prevention, cancer protection. Now, that's a flax seed. When you take the flax seed and you turn it into an oil, what happens is that has a very short shelf life. So that oil can become rancid very quickly, like all oils, olive oil, flaxseed oil, sesame oil, even coconut oil. These things can become rancid. Coconut oil, not as much as a lot of the other seed oils, but it still can become rancid. Flaxseed oil becomes rancid very, very quickly, almost immediately. So unless it is cold processed and cold shipped and cold stored, so if you're going to buy flaxseed oil, it needs to be cold the entire time, but it can still become rancid because it could be sitting there for months and months and months. I don't recommend flaxseed oil actually at all. What I recommend is buy the flax seeds and then grind them in your little coffee grinder and add the flaxseed powder to yogurts and cereals and things like that. And that's how you're going to get the most benefit from them. The other thing is you can add them to your smoothies, and same thing, blend them up, because the more you can break them down, and you'll open up the seed and your body will be able to absorb the nutrients from that a lot easier versus just passing the seed through your stool. So that's what I recommend. Otherwise, again, flaxseed oil, you're risking dealing with too much rancidity. And rancidity is something you really want to avoid because it's going to create acidity in your body. Rancidity, acidity, right? And we want to be focused on a more anti-inflammatory, more pro-alkalizing diet to some degree. I'm not saying the alkaline diet that's promoted out there, but more alkalizing types of foods. Gayla, what's the best form of potassium for leg cramps at night? Potassium for leg cramps, I don't know if you're taking magnesium, but magnesium has been shown to be very effective for cramps. Potassium as well can help with cramps. Potassium, you really shouldn't need a supplement for potassium. You should be able to getting plenty of potassium from your food if you're eating a really well diverse, nutrient dense, lots of plants, lots of fruits in your diet. If you're not, that's where you should get most of your potassium. Certainly you can get it in a multivitamin, but you really don't need to supplement with too much potassium if you're eating a well-balanced diet. Major questions about timing. This is from Annette. And actually this is, I probably saw a dozen questions on this, about timing of supplements. Do I take with food, without food? So that's one part. Let's start with that because there's three parts to this question. So it's a really good question. So there are certain vitamins that need to be taken with food. So fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin K, for example. Certain fat-soluble vitamins need to be taken with food or with some healthy fat source. So that's a really important thing to understand is if you're taking vitamins, we know A, D, E, and K are all fat soluble. So those need to have a fat source or take them with food that has a little bit of fat in it. Most all food has some form of fat in it. So take those with food. Now, other vitamins, minerals, herbs, things like that are not as important to take with food. You can take on an empty stomach most of the time. The caveat to that is detox supplements. So I'll share with you in a minute a link to a page I put together for you of a list of the top supplements I take and recommend. And one of those is zeolite. And zeolite is an incredibly effective heavy metal detox supplement. It helps get those heavy metals out of your body. And just like zeolite, chlorella, for example, is a really great detox. A chelator, heavy metal chelator, pulling these heavy metals, the mercury and the cadmium and the lead that's in the fish you eat, that's in the water you drink, it's in the cookware that you cook with, all those heavy metals, the aluminum, you're drinking from your aluminum bottles, you're cooking in your aluminum plated cookware that has the non-stick, but the non-stick has the aluminum underneath it. The aluminum that is all over the place, the mercury that's in your feelings, in your teeth, the mercury that's in the fish, these heavy metals that are everywhere, they are endocrine disruptors and they're carcinogenic. They cause neurodegenerative disease and they can lead to cancer. We got to get these things out of the body. And so when you're taking a chelator, you're getting heavy metals out of the body like you're taking zeolite. The best time to take that is away from food and away from your supplements. So if you're taking, even activated charcoal is a great detoxifier. And so when you're taking these things, at least an hour and a half, because roughly depending on what you're eating and your digestive system, if you give about an hour and a half, you give enough space between where those detoxifiers are not going to pull the minerals out of the food. They're not going to pull the good things out that you want to stay in your body. And so something like zeolite, actually, it has a negative charge and it goes in your body and looks for heavy metals, which has a positive charge, and then it binds to them. It'll bind to the cadmium and to the lead and to the mercury, and then it'll pull it out when you go to the bathroom, which is wonderful. It's an easy detox. The one I use, I'll share here in a minute, you just spray it. And one of the things you can do is either take it an hour and a half between other supplements and meals, or you can take your final supplements for the day and food and all of that. Let's say you go to bed at 10 p.m. You could take all of that at 8 p.m., eat, take your supplements, fat-soluble vitamins, whatever you need to take at 8 p.m. And then at 10 p.m., right before you get in bed, you can just spray the zeolite in your mouth, and it's 2 hours away from all your food minerals, and it helps detox while you sleep. That's what I do, and that's what I recommend. So timing with some of these things is important, and we're going to get into the second part of that question in a minute, which is like, do supplements work well together? What shouldn't be taken with others? Because that's a huge question. And actually, I'll just give you a resource for that. There's a book by Francis Brinker on Amazon. You can find it. It's a little expensive. It's like $40-something. But it's the best one that I found. It's called Herbal Contraindications and Drug Interactions. Herbal Contraindications and Drug Interactions plus Herbal Adjuncts with Medicines, 4th edition. So Herbal Contraindications and Drug Interactions by Francis Brinker. I've gone through this book and it is very thorough and it's all evidence-based in terms of certain supplements you want to watch out taking together, especially if you have certain diseases that you're dealing with and if you're taking certain drugs. So it's a very complicated thing that took Francis hundreds and hundreds of pages and thousands of hours of research, I'm sure, to answer that question, which is why I can't answer that question here in this little Q&A. And I recommend buying that book because that's probably the most in-depth that I have seen anybody go on that question. And it's a great, especially if you're taking lots of supplements and you're on some kind of drugs from your doctor, any kind of pharmaceutical, and or you're dealing with any kind of chronic disease, that'd be a great resource to start. What's the best Diane, what's the best, most trusted supplements to buy? Sydney, what are the best brands to buy? What are the best supplements? What are the best brands? So lots and lots of questions about brands and supplement brands and best brands, trusted brands, etc. So I'm going to give you a resource I put together for you. And it is brands that I use and recommend. And you can go to nathancrane.com/supplements. nathancrane.com/supplements. And I'll go through them briefly with you here. One of the companies I really like is Organics with 2 X's. 2 of the products I really love that I take is their mushroom blend, their 7M mushrooms, which is their medicinal mushrooms. And the reason being is that these are some of the best mushrooms that I have seen in the research when it comes to enhanced immune function, and also the mushrooms themselves. I'm not saying the supplement, but the mushrooms themselves have a significant amount of scientific data backing them up, even for cancer and protecting against cancer. So I love that the 7 mushrooms that are in there, they are fermented. And when you go the extra mile and ferment something like mushrooms, you actually make them more bioavailable and can help with digestion. Mushrooms are shown to be anti-inflammatory. They can help with aches and pains. They can help with chronic pain. They've been shown to enhance the immune system. These medicinal mushrooms are just incredible. The chaga, the maitake, the cordyceps, lion's mane, shiitake, turkey tail, and reishi. So I learned about reishi or ganoderma when I was getting into nutritional research for a company back in 2007, I think. And I was taking it ganoderma. It was in the form of a coffee powder. And what I learned about the research on reishi, on ganoderma back then was just unbelievable for the immune system, for anti-aging, for healthy heart, for anti-cancer properties, antifungal properties, I believe even antiviral properties. Reishi is just like, it's like the king of mushrooms. It is just amazing. And so I really like this supplement by Organics, which is fantastic. I like we talked about inflammation, and inflammation being one of the underlying root causes of just about every metabolic chronic disease that we deal with today. So some really great natural anti-inflammatories are also by Organics. They have a product called Turmeric 3D. There's a link to it also on that page, nathancrane.com/supplements. And the turmeric is blended together with ginger, and they are fermented as well. But it's also, the thing I like about Organics, the brand, is that they are organic. So you know that you're getting high quality ingredients, but they blend together the turmeric, the vitamin D3, the ashwagandha, which is known for helping improve mood, reduce stress, and help improve. It's an adaptogen, so it really helps our bodies adapt to the stresses of our daily life. And then the ginger, which actually increases the bioavailability of the curcumin, of the turmeric. And then, so those 4 ingredients together. So I highly recommend that as a really good anti-inflammatory. There's also Boswellia serrata, and Boswellia has a tremendous amount of research behind it when it comes to helping reduce inflammation. Also, Boswellia serrata has some very fascinating cancer research behind it, showing some anti-cancer properties as well. There's another company on there. I like their beta glucan. Better Way Health. I've actually interviewed the scientist behind it and got to the core of why they chose a specific ingredient from this specific source and how they get this highly concentrated amount of one of the most well-studied forms of beta-glucan from a specific kind of yeast. But you don't have to worry. You don't actually have any yeast in the supplement itself. They extract all the beta-glucan from it. And that particular beta-glucan from that particular yeast has an efficacy that is just unbelievable. And it's like taking, if you're going to get beta-glucan from mushrooms, for example, which we know are incredibly beneficial, it's like taking 50 times the amount of beta-glucan in that serving. So there's a beta-glucan incredible for the immune system as well. From Better Way Health on that page, there is also a Halen product, which has some wonderful, actually, scientific information about cancer prevention and for the immune system, which is not a supplement. It's actually a food. It's a organic, non-GMO fermented soy beverage. And there's a lot of evidence on that for not only immune system function, but also supporting a healthy body against cancer. And that's something I drink in the mornings. And it's a really powerhouse that you can take. That's also there. Well of Life. So if you're looking for gut health, parasites, cleansing, neurological health, Jonathan Otto's company, Well of Life, is there. He's got some great supplements there, all organic. Highly recommend them. Dr. Furman, if you're looking for, we got a lot of questions about a good multivitamin. He's got a great multivitamin for men, a great multivitamin for women. And then he's also got omegas. We'll talk about omegas in a little bit. And I like his products as well. You can find a link there for them. Skincare. So one of the things that we need to talk about is how skin absorbs anything that you put on it. So we often think of, and if you watch the Supplements Revealed documentary series, we often think of supplements only going in our mouth, right? Like this tea I'm drinking with these wonderful herbs. And the reality is, whatever we're putting on our skin, on our body, on our hair, shampoos, on our clothes, what we wash our clothes with, if there's toxic chemicals in those things, those are getting absorbed into the skin. And the skin takes those chemicals right into the bloodstream. And so we have to be really careful what we put on our clothes and what we put on our skin. And so there's an organics, there's a skincare line called Purity Woods. There's a link to that. All of these should have some form of a discount for you. These are products I use, I recommend. I've researched heavily myself over the years, and it's something I affiliate with most of these companies and then share them with others because I personally have researched them and I personally use them and recommend them. And so they have some great like anti-aging creams and skin creams and things like that. Also, Dr. Bronner's is the soap that I use. I don't have a link there, but you can just go to Dr. Bronner's. That's the soap I use almost for everything. Shampoo, body wash. It's just organic oils. It's all really good stuff. Super clean. And then the zeolite for detoxification. The one that I recommend is there because it's clinoptilite zeolite, which is probably has the most amount of good quality studies behind it of showing safety, efficacy, and very effective at removing heavy metals like lead, cadmium, mercury from the body, even aluminum from the body, and has shown to be safe with no adverse effects. So there's a link to that there. And then the laundry detergent that we use. Because again, what you wash your clothes with, if you wash them with chemicals, well, those chemicals are getting seeped into your skin. So we need to look at everything we put on our body as a supplement. What we put in our body and on our body becomes our body at a cellular level. And if you don't take away anything from this except that will be worth it, because that key statement alone is essential for your overall health and vitality. So again, that's all at nathancrane.com/supplements. Let me go back to the questions that have come in here. So tons of people had questions about all of that. So I wanted to spend a little time there. Are plant-based omega products as good as fish oil? Fish oil always comes back on me no matter which brand I use. Comes back on me, I'm guessing, like maybe regurgitates it. The answer is yes. If it is an algae-based, good quality omega products. So omega-3s are really important. Most people have, if you test your omegas, most people are at an imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3, which means you're highly inflammatory, and you want to be at an omega-3 to omega-6. Now, why are people out of balance with omega-6? It's because of cooking with too many oils, and it's because of like frying food, for example. It's because of frying meats, and it's because of having not enough plants in the diet. And so those things can create a complete, and lots of processed foods and chips, potato chips, things like that, where the omega-6s just are exorbitantly higher than the omega-3s. And what you want, and what nature provides, if you eat whole foods naturally from nature, they generally almost always provide a higher omega-3 to higher, like if you eat the olives themselves versus the olive oil. If you eat the flax seeds themselves, if you eat these high omega-3, hemp seeds are a great source. Algae is a fantastic source for omega-3s. And yes, I have looked at the science behind them. And yes, the plant-based omegas are just as good, in some cases better than the fish, because the fish-based omegas we know are filled with heavy metals. Most fish today, I should say, is filled with heavy metals. And those, if you test them, if the company's not testing, it's very likely that if you test them, those fish-based omegas, they are likely high in heavy metals nowadays, unfortunately. Dr. Furman, actually on that page, he's got a good, really good plant-based omega that I like. Are the vitamin industry doing any research or testing of their products before sending vitamins to market? We talked about this. Excuse me. Some of them are, and many of them are not. So that's why CGMP, USP, organic when possible, these are important things you want to be looking for. How to balance between cost and quality when selecting supplements? It's a good question. So coming back to what I talked about a little bit earlier, you really should be getting most of your nutrition from your food. So if you're eating a highly diverse diet, primarily plants in your diet from all the different varieties of plants, from the different plant kingdoms, for example, then you should be getting 95% plus of your nutrients from your food. Your vitamins, your minerals, your phytonutrients, phyto meaning from plants, you can only get them from plants, your flavonoids, your antioxidants, your anti-cancer properties, your anti-inflammatory properties. All of this, majority of the vitamins and minerals and everything come in plants. Now, vitamin D we get from the sun. So spending 20 minutes outside in the sun each day, we can get the vitamin D, or we can take the supplement. But we do need to take vitamin D with vitamin K2 because of the effect that the body has to do to convert that vitamin D into an assimilatable, ingestible form in the body. But if you just go out in the sun and get sunshine 20 minutes a day, 4, 5, 6 days a week, then your body's going to produce the vitamin D it needs. Now, if you're too far north of the northern or southern hemisphere and you don't get enough sun, well, it's a great idea to supplement with vitamin D. Because you may not be able to get enough sun even if you try, because the sun's just not high enough in the sky and giving you enough of the rays for your body to convert it. But these things are important to always test, don't guess. So a lot of questions here of what blood test should I get? How do I know which vitamins and supplements I need? You know, do I really need to take all these different supplements? How do I know which ones are best for my body? Test, don't guess. Test, don't guess. We got so many good tests nowadays that there's no reason to guess at what you need. You should not be taking, vitamin D if you have excess vitamin D in your body. You should not be taking vitamin C if you're getting plenty of vitamin C from your food. You should not be taking B12 if you already have an adequate level of B12. Now, we do know that most people who get tested are deficient in vitamin D, are deficient in B12, are deficient in omega-3s because of diet and lifestyle, lack of being outside under the sun, lack of getting enough nutrients, lack of not getting the food from our organic vegetable gardens in our backyard where we can produce the vitamin B12 from bacteria in our guts and that grow on the plants. Plants are washed. We don't get it anymore. Yes, you can get it from animal products. And when they test a lot of people who are primarily heavy animal-based diets, they're actually deficient in B12 as well. So not everyone's deficient in B12. Not everyone's deficient in vitamin D. Not everyone's deficient in vitamin C or vitamin K, even though vitamin K often is a deficiency in people, but not everybody. So why would you take these vitamins if you don't need them, right? Oh, because someone told me I should take them, I'm just going to take them. No, you take them because you know you need them. You take them because your body is deficient in them. Now, if you get a test and you're in normal ranges, that's not good either. Remember, normal is not good. Normal is not health. Normal on a blood test means you're averaged across the normal population of people around the country. And that normal today is disease and sickness. So if you are in deficiency, yeah, you need to take them. If you're in normal, you still probably need to take them. What you're looking for is optimal levels. You're looking for optimal levels, and each one of these things has its optimal level that you'll be able to find on the blood test. And you want to make sure you're in that optimal range. You don't want to be normal. You want to be optimal, right? We want optimal health. So we need to test and don't guess. Lots of blood tests out there. One that I just took the other day because I am testing all of my nutrients as well right now, just to see where I'm at recently, because it's been quite a while since I've looked at it, is Inside Tracker, insidetracker.com. They've got a great test, and they can come right to your home, take the blood test. Yeah, it's a little expensive. It's like $500 or $600. But if that saves you thousands of dollars of supplements over the years of things you don't need anyway, then it's a good investment in your health, and it's a good investment for your future, and will actually can save you money long term, because they have the one that I recommend is the ultimate one, called Ultimate at Inside Tracker. Inside, like inside our bodies, Inside Tracker. They look at 43 biomarkers, and everything from glucose and triglycerides, total cholesterol, to vitamin D and calcium, to sodium, potassium, to vitamin B12 and magnesium. They're looking at DHEA, which is really important to look at. They're looking at monocytes and lymphocytes. So they're looking at inflammation levels, neutrophils, and CRP. CRP is C-reactive protein, really important to look at. If you're in a chronic inflammatory state and don't know it, means you're on a path towards disease. So your CRP, your monocytes, lymphocytes, basophils, white blood cells, these things will help determine if you're headed for chronic disease or not. They look at your red blood cells, your transferrin, hemoglobin, ferritin. They'll look at your liver function, toxicity. So the Ultimate's a really good one to start. They have lower cost ones for like $100, $200. Like the Essentials has 13 biomarkers. Those are kind of essential biomarkers. You're looking at vitamin D, you're looking at hemoglobin, magnesium, LDL, but you're really not going to get enough info on that one to know, I think, what you really need to know. And so I highly recommend using Inside Tracker, get that Ultimate blood test, or find another blood test out there that you like from another company that is going to track all of these essential nutrients, and as well as check your inflammatory markers and see if you're on the right track. I think that's really important. Let's see, multivitamins, we covered that. Let's see, testing, we covered that. Best time to take supplements to support detox, we covered that. Again, the zeolite is the one I recommend. NathanCrane.com/supplements. There's a link to that zeolite. Take it at night before bed. You can take it during the day as well. Just take it between meals and other supplements. Give yourself at least an hour and a half. What can you do if you can't afford supplements? Really good question. Make your diet your priority. And that should be whether you take supplements or not. And the diet that I recommend, based in the most amount of research, literally thousands of hours of research that I've done, hundreds of hours of interviewing the top cancer, heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disease, doctors and experts on the planet, and literally looking at hundreds and hundreds of studies, is a plant-based, whole foods, nutrient-dense diet. And if you don't go 100% plant-based, very, very, very plant-strong diet. So if you have fish once or twice a week, or a little bit of chicken or something here and there, I mean, that's up to you. I'm not here to tell anybody what they can and can't do. What I'm here to share is my personal experience and the research that I've identified that shows. And when I work with cancer patients and we get them on a 100% whole foods plant-based diet, we literally watch all their inflammatory biomarkers go down, and we watch their cancers literally decrease. I know that it works. We watch their heart disease disappear. We watch autoimmune disease get healed up. We watch neurodegenerative diseases get better. So, and I'm just not saying me, I'm saying all the doctors that I know and work with and I'm colleagues with, and who have thousands and thousands of patients and many, many case studies and many, many anecdotal stories from their patients. So we know this works, a whole foods, plant-based, nutrient-dense diet. That includes, what does that include? That includes healthy whole grains, things like oats and brown rice. Even though quinoa is a seed, I like to think of it as a grain, so I put it in there, but it's technically a seed. So oats, grains, quinoa, nuts and seeds. You don't need a lot, but different kinds of nuts and seeds, pistachios, almonds, pecans, walnuts, incredible health properties, incredible protective properties for heart and the brain. Vegetables, specifically cruciferous vegetables and leafy green vegetables. So bok choy, broccoli, spinach, and then also in there, your lettuces and cabbages. These are things you should be adding to your diet every single day. So vegetables, and then fruits and berries, apples, bananas, mangoes, pineapples, etc., blueberries. Excuse me. And then things like mushrooms, onions, garlic, incredible health benefits, antiviral properties, anti-cancer properties. And then you also have legumes. So your organic soy, don't be misled out there. There's still people who believe that soy is estrogenic. It is not estrogenic at all, and all the studies have proven that falsehood completely wrong. It's actually anti-cancer. Soy is, it actually blocks the beta receptor cells of the estrogen cells, which don't allow excess estrogen into the body. So people think, oh, it's got phytoestrogen, it adds more estrogen in your body. It does the opposite. Studies have confirmed this. Soy does the opposite. It actually protects you against excess estrogen, which is really fascinating. And it also protects against cancer. There are a lot of studies that show this. So organic soy, organic beans of all kinds, so legumes, and beans and lentils, these kinds of things are incredibly protective. So nuts and seeds and fruits and berries and healthy grains, lots of vegetables, leafy green vegetables, mushrooms and onions and garlic and legumes. I think I mentioned that. Legumes. Should I say legumes again? Should I mention it one more time? Legumes. Not to mention the high fiber content there. And I did see a question about Dr. Let's see where to go. I apologize for the cough. I came down with this little phlegm in my lungs recently. It may have been that thing that's been going around, and it's on its way out. Been taking lots of echinacea and lots of echinacea and olive leaf extract, which has been wonderful. Mullein. These are some, great supplements that can help with lung protection, actually. What else in there? Garlic for the immune system. And I still got a little scratch in my throat, so I apologize about that, but it is on its way out, which is wonderful. I apologize in advance for the cough. There was a question, something about Dr. Gundry talks about lectins are bad for you. Is this true? The answer, no, lectins in legumes, are lectins bad for you? The answer is yes and no. So whatever the question was, the answer is yes and no. Lectins themselves have shown detrimental effects in the body and can be called anti-nutrients. But lectins are removed when you cook the legumes, for example. Almost all, and there are plenty of studies to show this, that when you cook beans, you fully cook beans until they're soft, there's almost no lectins left in them whatsoever. So this weird conversation of, yeah, lectins are so terrible for you, avoid all beans because they're so bad for you because they have lectins. You don't get any lectins from beans, or so minimal that there's no studies that I could find that have actually shown the tiny, tiny bit of lectins that are left in beans when you fully cook them actually have a detrimental effect to removing certain minerals and nutrients from your body. There was no mineral deficiency shown because you don't eat beans raw, right? It'd be like chewing rocks and you'd be breaking teeth. So this weird thing that's come out by people who are selling supplements that are supposed to help lectin digestion or whatever, to say lectins are bad for you, so throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't eat the anti-cancer legumes. Don't eat the neuroprotective properties, the healthy fiber, the mineral-rich and protein-rich beans that are out there because they have lectins. Well, guess what? There's really there's no basis to that. There's no basis to that, because as long as you're cooking your beans fully, meaning you cook them until they're soft, they basically have no lectins. And you are getting, if you're eating the diet I just told you about, the most proven anti-cancer diet, anti-heart disease diet, pro-health diet, anti-inflammatory diet, nutrient-dense diet, you're getting an excess, a tremendous amount of vitamins and minerals and nutrients and phytonutrients and everything you need for your body to be healthy and strong anyway. So even if it was a tiny bit of lectin and it pulled out a tiny bit of minerals, you don't have to worry because you have plenty from your diet. So that's something that I wanted to address because there was a question about it. I know there's confusion about it. I don't agree at all, and neither does the evidence with people out there who are saying don't eat beans because they're bad for you. All the evidence actually points in, I don't know about all, majority of very strong, peer-reviewed, even double-blind studies show the incredible health benefits of having more legumes in your diet. All right. I think that's it. We covered majority of the questions that came in. Again, are all supplements to be taken with food? Again, we covered that. Fat soluble should be taken with food. If they're not fat soluble, you don't have to worry about it with food as much. Some supplements can be, certain things you take might be a little tough on an empty stomach, especially like a high mineral supplement, for example, might make you a little nauseous. So you might take that. If you take a supplement and it makes you nauseous within like 20 minutes, that's when you should probably take with food. Again, you should test and make sure you actually need those extra minerals and those extra, like if your iron levels are adequate, there's no reason you need to be adding more iron to your body, right? So these things are just important to test and to know what you're taking. There was another question I want to answer, and then we're going to wrap up because we are actually 2 minutes over and out of time. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Digestion issues. Yeah, there's some really good supplements for digestion. Actually, on the document, there's a link there to the Well of Life. I really like their digestive health supplements, and they're all organic, so I would recommend taking a look at those. There's also a product that I really like from Dr. Zach Bush. Now, it's pretty expensive, but it lasts a long time. I think it can last you 2 or 3 months. So maybe it comes to $20 a month if it can last you 3 months. I cycle on and off it. It's another question that came through. Yes, it is important to cycle on and off supplements. Let's say, for example, you're taking a whole regimen of supplements for 5 weeks. You could cycle off them for a week and then cycle back on and cycle off. That's one way to do it. This is a common practice from herbalists around the world. Another thing to understand is if you're taking therapeutic doses because of a health concern versus maintenance doses, supplements aren't meant to be something we just have to take always for the rest of our lives. They really should come in to supplement what we're missing, and we should find ways to fill in those gaps from our food anyway. And then on top of that, if we can't fill in those gaps because we're just deficient for whatever reasons from our food, then we add in the supplement. But it's still good to cycle off those supplements and give your body a break from them. If you're taking lots of capsules, give your body a break from the capsules. Give your body just a chance to kind of reset. If you're out in nature, living the way we've lived for millions of years, you will never eat the same thing 24/7, year after year. You're going to have certain fruits that grow in certain seasons and certain vegetables and plants that grow in certain seasons and certain things you're going to have access to at certain times of the year. So, it's good to cycle on and off certain things. Like I'll buy 3 or 4 supplements at a time. I'll take them for a few weeks till they're gone. And then I won't buy those again for a while. And then I'll buy some others. Now I know it's easy. It's easy to go, yeah, I just buy this one thing and I take this every day for the rest of my life. It's easy. I forget about it. I get it. And if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But if you're really about optimizing your health and function for longevity and vitality, you'll consider some of these more advanced things you can do to really optimize your health and not allow your body to get dependent on certain things and to build tolerance to certain things like caffeine. Like if you're taking caffeine every day, multiple times a day, you'll build tolerance to it. It won't give you the same effect. So you take a caffeine break for a week and then your body kind of resets and then you go back on it and you don't need as much for the same effect. That's the same thing with a lot of these supplements. There was another one I wanted to cover, and then we definitely need to wrap up. Let's see. What's the most important supplement to take as a vegan? That's a really good question. So we have an entire module on this coming up in the Supplements Explained Masterclass. It's a 20-minute module. It's more than I can cover right now. I encourage you to watch that module with Dr. Furman because there are some key supplements that are needed for most vegans. And there's some key supplements that are talked about that are needed for most people on an animal-based diet as well. So make sure you watch that module. I'll recap some of the things that are pretty common. B12 is a deficiency in most people on any diet. Vitamin D is a common deficiency. Vitamin K is a common deficiency. There's a few others you'll want to get, you'll find out in your test as well. So again, you should test, don't guess. Super, super important. Good. So yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get to every single question. We got to lots here in this time together. Again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you are watching this live and you're on the webpage where this is, there is a link for you. If you haven't yet purchased the Supplements Revealed documentary series, you can do that at a discount. If you're watching this on YouTube, we can put a link below there for you as well, where you can get the Supplements Revealed documentary series and the Supplements Explained Masterclass. All those details will be there. We just want to continue serving and supporting you in your health, in really achieving your optimum level of health and well-being and vitality. I'm here to serve you and support you. Let us know, let our customer service team know if you have questions. If there's other questions that weren't answered, we will have some live Q&As coming up with Dr. Furman, Dr. Joel Kahn, nutritionist Juliana Hever, coming up live Q&As during the Supplements Explained Masterclass for everyone who owns that. So keep an eye out for that as well. And look forward to hearing from you in the near future. I wish you ultimate health and happiness, and take care. See you next time.